Shira, Havana Shira, let us sing. Havana Shira, Havana Shira, Havana Shira, let us sing. Come let us sing, come let us sing, come let us sing. Havana Shira, come let us sing, come let us sing, come let us sing. Havana Shira, Havana Shira, Havana Shira, Havana Shira, let us sing. Havana Shira, Havana Shira, Havana Shira, let us sing.
What a beautiful way to begin to welcome in Shabbat. Together as a community, we prepare to light these Shabbat candles. And after last week's service, when we had Rabbi Catherine so beautifully read a prayer for us, Eve reached out to me immediately and said, I would love to take part in services too. And so we are so blessed to have Eve lead us in lighting the candles. I invite everyone who has candles at home, please take them out so that we can join together in bringing some extra light into the world. Go ahead, Eve.
Okay, thank you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Beautiful. Thank you, Eve. We continue in our welcome to Shabbat with this cup overflowing with joy as we join together in this Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ava v'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikrai kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-shabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
We continue. I said l'chaim, but forgot to drink some wine. So we continue by singing some more songs of joy, starting with Hinei Matov, how wonderful it is for all of us to be here together.
מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. How great it is for brothers and sisters to hang out on this day. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. How great it is for brothers and sisters to hang out on this day. שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. How great it is for brothers and sisters to hang out on this lovely day. How great it is for brothers and sisters to hang out on this day. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. How great it is for brothers and sisters to hang out on this day. לכו נרננה לאדוני, נריע לצור ישנו. לכו נרננה לאדוני, נריע לצור ישנו. נקדמה פניו בתודה, בזמירות נריע לו. לכו נרננה לאדוני, נריע לצור ישנו. כי אל גדול אדוני, ומלך גדול על כל אלוהים. לכו נרננה לאדוני, נריע לצור ישנו. לך דודי, יאללה לקראת קלה, יאללה פני שבת נקבלה. יאללה לך דודי, יאללה לקראת קלה, יאללה פני שבת נקבלה. יאללה לך דודי, יאללה לקראת קלה, יאללה פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. la לך דודי, יא לה 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 לקראת קלה, יא לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה, יא לה 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 לך דודי, יא לה 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 לקראת קלה, יא לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, יא לה 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 לך דודי, יא לה 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 לקראת קלה, יא לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה, יא לה 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 לך דודי, יא לה 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 לקראת קלה, יא לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה.
Now that we have welcomed in the Sabbath bride, we welcome in one another. So I invite everyone to write in the chat, write to someone who you know, write to someone who you've never met before, and wish them a Shabbat Shalom in order to offer an embrace to one another. We might not be able to hug each other in person yet, but we sure can embrace one another with our words and our presence. So let's take time to do that as we prepare ourselves to call ourselves and one another to prayer with the Baruch Hu.
Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidbaro ma'ariv ahavim, vechokma poteach she'arim. God of creation, who makes the evening fall from light into darkness with the setting of the sun. You unfold the heavens with brilliant moon
beyond all space and time. Your love enfolds your people, Yisrael. We receive it in your teaching, your gift of Torah's sacred obligations, discipline, and law. So let us speak these teachings when we lie down and rise up, and find joy forever in your Torah and mitzvot. They are the very essence of our life, ours to ponder and study all of our days. May we always feel your love. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, who loves your people Israel.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught. Before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it's eternally Egypt. That there's a better place, a promised land, and the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. There's no easy way to get from here to there, except by joining hands and marching together and singing ya la 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 ya la 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 la, singing ya la 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 ya la 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 la. בשמחה רבה, ויאמרו כולם, יאי לה לה לה, לה 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 לה, yai la 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 la, singing yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, sing it with us, yai la 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 la. I can hear you through your screens, yai la 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 la, singing yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la. Who is like you, God, among all the gods that are worshipped? Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha ba'elim, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, mi kamocha nedar, nora tehilot osef elei, osef elei, nora tehilot osef elei, osef elei, malchutcha ra'u banecha, בוקע הים לפני משה, זה אלי, זה אלי, זה אלי, ענו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך באלים, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש.
There's a reason that in many of our URJ camps, the day is ended with the words of Hashkivenu. Because these words of Hashkivenu are words that call out to God, asking that we end our day with peace and gratitude, asking that we end our day with songs of praise on our lips. The Hashkivenu prayer this evening, prayer is an opportunity for us to focus on the beauty of our day and to feel God's presence with us like a parent tucking a child in at night, feeling safe, feeling secure, and feeling immersed in community and love.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, ve'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, ve'hamidenu השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו לעמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת.
We turn to the words of the Amidah, these words that have been passed down for centuries through the generations to us. And as we offer the words of the Amidah, the words on the page and the words of our heart, we take a moment to focus ourselves in order to offer these prayers with integrity and with love. So I invite everyone to rise in body and or spirit as we say these hallowed words.
Adonai sfatai tiftach, Adonai sfatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai sfatai tiftach, Adonai sfatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום, כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום, כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום, כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. טוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה, בכל עת ובכל שעה, בכל עת ובכל שעה, בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל, המברך את עמו ישראל.
So I'm not going to lie. As we finished studying Exodus, I always felt a great deal of trepidation. I knew that the next book, Vayikra, Leviticus, would be filled with talk of animal sacrifice and ancient traditions, which we thankfully no longer employ. Aside from stunning verses about moral codes, I found it hard to relate to Leviticus. What could this text possibly teach me? What did it offer to each of us? And yet with each passing year, I find that I gain a new respect for this book of the Torah. While I may never adore its discussion of animal slaughter, sprinkling blood, or the holy barbecue for God, I recognize that its symbolism often has messages that are not only meaningful, but can be incredibly helpful in navigating today's world. The rabbis argue about why animal sacrifice was so important in ancient Israelite culture to begin with. Maimonides posits that sacrifice was never ideal. Rather, it was a necessary stepping stone from the idolatrous practices of which they had been accustomed, which included sacrifices to idols. Rather than asking the people to change their ways all at once, God asked that they adapt the practice and sacrifice appropriate animals to God. One day, such sacrifices would be replaced by prayer. Maimonides' idea of the evolution of sacrifice is fascinating and perhaps even accurate, but at the same time, it lacks an appreciation for the intrinsic value of the sacrificial service. That's at least what Nechama Leibowitz says. Temple sacrifices were not merely replacements for flawed practice. They had a significance in their own right. Indeed, as we delve into this Torah portion, we find that the sacrifices hold so many different layers of meaning. I'm not going to delve into how the sacrifices were offered, the blood and guts part of the Torah portion, but I do think that it's helpful to point out the different types of sacrifices that our ancestors offered. So Parashat Vayikra describes 4 different types of sacrifice. There's the Olah offering, which was a way to express a desire to connect with God, with something bigger than ourselves. It was purely about connection with that which is sacred. After committing a sin, one would offer a chatat offering as an acknowledgement of the way in which the misdeed impacted not only the people involved directly, but also the larger community. And it was an honest effort in making reparations. Some actions, though, might not be classified as a sin per se, but they still negatively impacted others or diminished trust between people. When this happened, one might offer the third type of offering, an asham offering. Doing so was an act of holding oneself to a higher standard. And then finally, one would offer a zevach shlamim offering to express gratitude for all the good in our lives. Each of these offerings, each of these sacrifices was an expression of commitment to God and to something larger than ourselves. Leviticus reminds us that anyone who breaks God's ordained harmony can and must repair it, explains Tamara Cohen-Ashkenazi. Rituals, including sacrifices, serve to cancel or neutralize damage done to the created order and thereby restore the equilibrium. It was not enough to apologize for a sin or wrongdoing. Such actions required a kind of communal reparations. It was not enough to offer verbal prayers to God. Instead, we offered communal sacrifice. It was not enough just to express gratitude to God. We did so through an offering in sight of everyone who was present. Esti Luzzatto emphasized the importance of a communal altar when he said, "The Torah rules that no individual altar may be built. Having one temple only, the entire nation would gather in one place, and this would forge fraternal ties and union. Thus, the tribes and families would become integrated into the nation. If every person could build his own altar, he would content himself with God's acceptance of his offerings and would not be concerned with the well-being of his brethren. Whereas it is the Torah's wish that all Jews should feel responsible for one another." And I'd like to extend that even further and say that all people should be responsible for one another. It is through action and sacrifice that our people became a nation. Through giving and shared ritual, we learned that what it was to be in community. Maimonides may have been right that animal sacrifice itself is brutal and that we would one day gratefully outgrow it. But it demonstrates the power of a sacred ritual. For everyone who publicly expresses their remorse, their gratitude, their yearning, and their desire to live up to a higher moral standard, it is incredibly profound to do so in community. When a community of people get together for the purpose of expressing these sentiments, there is no doubt that the divine presence is deeply, deeply felt. Parashat Vayikra reminds us that ritual has the power to express that for which we lack words. It gives us opportunities for deep and lasting connection with God and with one another. Next week, we begin one of the most ritual-filled Jewish holidays that we have, the holiday of Passover. Some of our customs may have been passed down for generations, and some may have been newly created for this year's particular circumstances. The thing about ritual is that we can choose to just go through the motions. We can act out a ritual without taking the time to connect to it. But when we, like those doing the sacrificial offerings, put our whole selves into our rituals, we are deeply enriched, both as individuals and as a community. It is my prayer that we approach Passover with deep intention and purpose, so that we can arise from it feeling connected, inspired, and called to live our lives in line with our deepest values. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be God's will. And right now we transition to take this moment to offer prayers of healing for people in our community and beyond. I invite you to write into the chat the name of anyone who is in need of healing of mind, body, or spirit. Feel free to write down your own name as well. Sometimes each of us are in need of healing. This past week, I took part in a conference with over 400 Reform rabbis from all over the world. And when we joined together in prayer, we might not have been able to hear one another's voices, but we certainly felt everyone's spirits. As we came to the Misha Berach prayer, we did so holding so much illness and loss from this past year, with a fervent prayer for healing that could be seen on each person's face. There is a man named Solomon Hoffman. He's a New York City chaplain who felt inspired to compose a piece to the words of Psalm 147, which read, Harofeh lishvorei lev, ulachambesh la'atzvotam. God heals their broken hearts and binds up their wounds. He reckons the number of the stars, to each God gave his name. This is a song that he decided to write based on these words, that he actually wrote in early 2020, having no idea of what was in store. But about it, he now writes, now I hope that I can bring some healing after this year of unprecedented loss and suffering. I have seen this loss up close in my work as a hospital chaplain, he says. I have also witnessed the power of community and resilience, which I hope to reflect in this piece. I dedicate this to those who we've lost, those who are grieving, and those who have given all they can to provide care throughout this year. The composition of which we are about to hear for our Misha Barach prayer includes the voices and instruments of over 100 individuals, demonstrating how powerful our communal voice can be. This Shabbat, many synagogues around the world are incorporating this piece into their worship as a prayer of healing. Hoffman invites anyone who is moved by this piece to buy the track, and all proceeds go to the New York COVID-19 Emergency Response Fund. I'm going to place the link in the chat, both on Facebook and here, for anyone who is so moved. And we continue thinking about every single person whose name is in the chat and the names who are coming in with this heartfelt prayer.
May the light of the stars heal the wounds in our hearts. May the light of the stars heal the wounds in our hearts.
We hope that everyone is able to find healing in the coming days, weeks, and months ahead. We also take time in our service to remember people who have died in recent days and weeks. We remember Barbara Burke, who's the period of Shiva, and people who have died within the past 30 days, Jerry Sorkin, Henry Lurie, Millie Linitz, and Brandon Rosen. We also remember the 8 people killed in the Atlanta spa shootings and acknowledge the fear that has reverberated throughout the Asian communities due to the attacks and rising anti-Asian sentiment. We remember so many people who have died at this time in years past. Leanne Abramowitz, Charles Abramson, Reba Adler, Mary Alastris, Isidore Almas, Clara Arnush, Zona Belzer, Joseph Berman, Herman Bernstein, William Borden, Mary Botek, Robert Calatrillo, Harry Chanowski, Arthur Cohen, Barbara Cohen, Eliakim Cohen, Jenny Cohen, Max Cohn, Victor Cohn, Michael Colton, Chaya Fleischer, Clara Friedman, Dorothy Glasser, Franklin Goodman, Henry Gross, Celia Grossman, Nikki Hamilton, Denise Hoffman, Sam Katzman, Kurt Kent, Nellie Corman, Tobias Katzen, Jacob Kruger, Oscar Laster, Asa Bernoff Levitt, Dorothy Lewin, Stanley Lieberman, Paula Loveman, Murray Marcus, Harry Margolin, Stephen Mell, Edmund Menace, Trey Menace, Melvin Moskowitz, Doris Ortner, Alex Paul, Fonnie Pierce, Leo Rosen, Doris Rowe, Leonard Rubenfeld, Benjamin Rubenstein, Manuel Rudy, Hyman Saul, Alexander Schechter, Carlos Smykler, Bertha Schultz, Ruth Slutsky, Sydney Smukler, Joan Braufman Soffer, Philip Sorman, Louis Specht, Anna Stoll, Harold Youssef, Paul Wachs, Susan Weidenfeld, Helen Wilson, Jacob Whitkin, Jack E. Young, and Martin Udell. In memory of all of them, and Roberts Moore, let us say these words of Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ba'almad yivracharate v'yamlich malchute, v'chayachon uvyomachon, uvchaye dekol Beit Yisrael, ba'galau v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehe shmei Rabbah mifarach le'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudisha baruchu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Da'miram ve'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama Rabbah min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories all be a blessing.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. יאללה לה 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 לה, יאללה לה לה לה, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la la la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו
Thank you. I would like to thank so much, first of all, the Davidson backup singers over there. Zoe and Jordan, both of you always bring so much to services during musical Shabbat or any other time you sing with your dad. It's such a delight. And I think everyone agrees on that. I also want to thank Eve so much for volunteering to be part of the services and to lead us in the blessing, lighting candles. And I want to underline also, anyone else is here and you'd like to take part of services, be like Eve, sign up. We'd love to include you in services. It's such a delight to be able to do that. Also, a huge thank you to Marvin Belzer and to Tom Rosenberg for being our awesome greeters this evening. And of course, I'm going to pass it over to Marla Schwartz on behalf of the board, who is offering our announcements.
Thank you, Rabbi Cassi. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Yes, indeed, a special thank you to Cantor, Ilan, and to Jordan and Zoe for bringing this musical Shabbat to the heights that it could possibly be. It was just beautiful and so meaningful. And many thanks to Rabbi Cassi. For those of us who caught her in her little square, she did the Shema for us in American Sign Language. And yeah, I know, what does that mean? American Sign Language, right, there we go. That was delightful and special, and we all really appreciated it very, very much. A big thank you, Rabbi Cassi, for putting meaning to this portion, this Torah portion, and making some sense, certainly, of kind of all that really tough stuff, those rules and ways to sacrifice and that sort of thing, and making it meaningful for today. I can only tell you that I, for one, am appreciative of the learning, and also I'm very appreciative that I just pray now and I don't have to bring a carcass to the temple. You know, I really like this prayer piece. I think it's wonderful. I also, and now I just want to share with you a few things. You know, you could read all this in the bulletin, but just to highlight a few things, I think it's really important, things that we think that you'll enjoy, not just services, but different events. You can start off by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Don't let Shabbat pass you by without joining Cantor, Ilan, and Pam Tarlow for the monthly meditation service. The service is a spiritual journey through the Shabbat morning with music and chants and guided meditation. I think it's just a lovely opportunity. And then tomorrow night, of course, it's Havdalah with Rabbi Cassi, which marks the end of Shabbat, and with prayers and music. And it's a wonderful transition to our new week that's up in front of us. On Sunday, not to be outdone, of course, there's three things you can partake in. At 9:30, there's J Kids Musical Passover Seder, with an incredible lineup of musical artists, including Rick Reck and Nefesh Mountain. A lot of us old people saw Nefesh Mountain earlier this year, and we really enjoyed them. And many people who are younger, but some of us older ones too, enjoy Rick Rec. What I think is neat is this is geared to our young kids, but we old folks are invited too, right? Cantor, Ilan? Yeah, we all can show up. Excellent.
Absolutely. Please do.
Great. And then later on in the day at 3:00, we can participate in South Coast Interfaith Council for Spotlight Awards and a fellowship program. It's an opportunity that will include special recognition for COVID heroes, honoring the incredible work of doctors and nurses in the South Bay. What a gift they've given us, and what an opportunity for us to give back to them by participating. And 3 hours later at 6:00, you can join with Cooking with the Cantor, as Cantor, Ilan, and a special guest, Abby Weeks, will guide you through Passover recipes. She's also going to prepare a vegan side dish and entree. So again, talk about being inclusive. We're trying to meet everybody's needs, which I think we're doing a pretty good job. All the links to register for all of these things are on the weekly, and today, Friday's Shabbat email, so you can do that. Next Wednesday at noon, it's going to be our first Taos lecture of this year's series. Our guest for the afternoon is Rabbi Jill Berkson Zimmerman, who was speaking about the journey of transformation, counting the Omer. The lectures are really inexpensive. It's a good price, $18 for an individual or $36 for a household. And you can make that payment to Shoni in the business office, shoot her an email and take care of that. What a great opportunity to continue our journey of learning. And finally, a wonderful reminder to join everybody for the musical, interactive, thought-provoking virtual community Seder. Now, you all say that 3 times fast. I got to read it. Musical, interactive, thought-provoking virtual community Seder hosted by Rabbi Cassi and Cantor Ilan. The Seder will take place next Saturday, March 27th at 6 p.m. The information to go online for that is also in the email. Sounds really amazing, I think. We wish everybody here a peaceful, a restful, a nourishing Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much, Marla, for all of those announcements. I feel bad doing this, but I'm going to add a couple things to the list anyway. One being that Rabbi Zimmerman is going to be leading us in this Taos lecture. It is to prepare us for the Omer, which we will be having every day, again, from the second day of Passover straight through to Shavuot. So it just gets us in that Omer kind of mood so that every day we can come together on Facebook or we can watch it after the fact. And the other thing is we are in this kind of wonderful area where we can work together with some of the other temples. And so, yes, we have this great Seder that we've prepared. There's a Haggadah on our temple website. If you want to take a sneak peek at the Haggadah, it is there already for anyone who wants it or wants to print it out. But on the second night of Passover, if you have plans on the first night and you really want to be in community on the second night, what we've done is that Ner Tamid and Menorah are doing a Seder on the second night, and we're doing it on the first. So you can choose to be part of any of those. We're all kind of coming together as a team. This way, every single person who wants to be in community, you can go to 2 Seders if you want. You can go to 1, whatever it is. We just want you to know that all of that is available to you, and we'll have all the links for that coming up shortly. So I know that now we are getting ready so that we can enjoy our own egg time. And I want to encourage everyone, hang around. If you haven't eaten dinner yet, that's okay. Go grab your food, bring it. You can eat with friends in our breakout rooms.
Oneg's all about eating, folks. So it's about eating and community. So you get to do both. It's okay. And in a moment, you're going to be whisked away to your breakout rooms. I hope you have a great Oneg Shabbat and Shabbat Shalom, everyone.